There are places we enter not with footsteps, but with reverence. California is one of them, a realm where light itself seems to linger longer, brushing against red canyons, silver ocean, and gold-spun grasses as if it cannot bear to leave, where fog kisses mountaintops like an old lover, where deserts bloom with quiet defiance, and trees grow so ancient and high, they seem to remember the time before language. Listen, can you hear it? The hush before the first wave breaks, on a Big Sur cliff, the rustle of eucalyptus in San Francisco's morning wind, the dry sigh of Joshua Tree breathing under moonlight. This is not merely a state. It is a stage for dreaming, for forgetting, for becoming. California holds contradictions like precious stones in its palm, ancient and new, burning and blooming, hollow and holy. So let the road open. Let the past loosen. You are the traveler now. Welcome to California. Here, nothing is static. The landscape is a slow-motion kaleidoscope. Cliffs, palms, pines, cypress, sand. You can stand in the blistering heat of Death Valley and then, in half a day's drive, reach the glacial lakes of Tahoe, walk the streets of Los Angeles under jacaranda rain, then rise into the hush of the High Sierra, where snow still clings like memory to granite. But what is California truly? To answer that is to chase shadows, to the Yurok and Chumash, to the Tongva and Miwok. This land was never a frontier. It was a mother, a rhythm, a sacred interweaving of land, animal, water, sky. The first maps here were stories passed in breath, not borders drawn by blade. Spanish explorers arrived in the 1500s searching for gold, but found something more elusive, a geography that refused to be tamed. The name California itself was born from myth, a 16th century novel describing an island ruled by black warrior women and griffins. That story, a fiction, gave this place its name, and in some sense, that paradox has lingered. California remains both myth and material, both real and imagined. The gold rush came like thunder, a frenzy of hope, hunger, and ruin. By 1850, California was a state. Boom towns bloomed, mountains were gutted, rivers rerouted, dreams ignited and expired. Yet out of the scramble, seeds were sown of cities, stories, railroads, resistance. It's easy to forget the blood in the soil, but it's also necessary to remember, because to truly travel California, you must see beneath the shine. Pause along the Pacific Coast Highway, and you'll find forgotten missions with crumbling adobe walls. Their bells still ring, but not all voices were invited to pray. Venture inland to the Central Valley, and you'll see crops watered by an ancient aquifer now running dry. Land worked by generations of migrant families, many of whom remain unseen in the state's glossy portraits. Yet in this complexity, California does not collapse, it expands. Art is born here like wildflowers after rain. Music bends into new shapes beneath palms and pines. Technology booms and breaks, reboots and repeats. Fires rage and still people rebuild, not just homes, but entire lives. You'll feel this resilience in the silence between waves on a Santa Cruz beach. You'll see it in the soft eyes of an elder tending roses in East L.A. You'll taste it in the tortillas made at sunrise, in the wine pressed from dusty Sonoma hills, in the sea salt that lingers on your lips long after the ocean has vanished from view. If you're coming, come gently. Don't rush California. She is not a state to be conquered. She is a tide to stand in, a story to listen for. Speak softly in the forest. The redwoods are older than your bloodline. Watch for condors on the cliffs. Their wingspan is the measure of rebirth. Respect the drought. Water is borrowed here, not owned. And when driving those endless roads, whether cutting through heat-blurred desert or under the ghostly arms of coastal fog, know that you are passing through more than geography. You are crossing thresholds between past and present, myth and memory, ash and bloom. There's a road north of San Francisco called Sir Francis Drake Boulevard. It winds into forests and edges of Point Reyes, where elk graze the coastal hills and the ocean gnaws endlessly at the earth. Along this road, in 1595, a Spanish galleon named St. Augustine wrecked in the bay. Some say the survivors, Filipino sailors known as Luzon's Indios, may have been among the first Asians to settle on the American continent. No monument marks the place. No plaque, just wind, cypress, sea. But the story still lives in whispered lore and salt air, in the names passed down through families who remember. This is California. 2, not the one from postcards, but the one pulsing just beneath. So take your time. Follow the hawk, taste the dust, wade into light. The road ahead winds like a question with no clear answer, but you do not need answers to walk it, only wonder and a willingness to listen. The light falls differently here. Filtered through ancient green, it becomes something softer, almost sacred. You step beneath the redwoods and the world hushes. Here, in the northern folds of California's coast, time bends. The air smells of damp earth, cedar and sea salt. Ferns unfurl like whisper spells. A raven calls, and the sound doesn't echo. It is absorbed by the living cathedral around you. These trees are not tall. They are towering memory. Many have stood for over 1,000 years, alive when Rome fell, when Chaucer wrote, when your great-grandparents were children of dreams. Walk quietly. The ground is layered in fallen needles, centuries thick. Sunlight pierces a canopy in golden shafts, touching nothing and everything. A stream runs nearby, cool and unseen, speaking the same language it has since glaciers carved these hills. There's a grove deep within Humboldt redwoods, where the trees press in closer, not to intimidate, but to shield. This place once sheltered native children from bounty hunters. Families of the Wiyot and Yurok hid here when the world beyond the forest turned cruel. The trees offer what humans could not, refuge without condition. Most visitors never hear that story. But if you pause, if you press your palm to the bark and listen, you might. Travel here is not about seeing more. It's about feeling less noise. Let yourself be smaller. Let your breath match the rhythm of leaf and mist. Redwood roots are shallow, yet they intertwine, holding one another fast through storm and drought. So should we. If the fog rolls in, welcome it like an old friend. Wear layers. Tread lightly. Don't carve your name. It's already written in dust and shadow. And when you leave the forest, do so with reverence. Carry its silence in your pockets. Let the hush follow you. It will change how you hear the world. The sea here isn't loud, it murmurs. Waves drift in, not with fury, but with memory, as if they've carried something fragile a very long way and now lay it gently on the shore. Bodega Bay curves like a secret. Fog hangs low over the water in the early hours, blurring horizon from thought. Gulls will silently overhead. Crab traps bob in rhythm with the tide. Wind moves through the tall grasses like a hand smoothing the edge of a dream. This was once Miwok land, where villages sat close to estuaries, where fish and stories were passed by hand. Later came Russian settlers, distant cousins of the land, who named it for one of Spain's navigators, Bodega y Quadra. But the people who belonged to the tide were already here. Their presence runs beneath the roads now, quiet but enduring. In 1963, Alfred Hitchcock made this place infamous with the birds. He chose Bodega Bay for its eeriness, the fog, the wind, the empty schoolhouse perched on a hill. But the real hauntings lie deeper, in the land, in the long silence after a storm, in the wildness that refuses to be domesticated. There's a path that leads down to Doran Beach. Go there at low tide. Walk with your shoes off. Let the cold water remind you you're alive. Watch for sea lions offshore, for herons in the marsh, for your own breath made visible in the sea air. The town is small, and that's its gift, a place where locals wave at strangers, where chowder is thick and always warm, where the ocean is close enough to hear through the window as you sleep. Stay the night if you can. Let the fog close behind you like a soft door. You'll leave with salt in your hair and silence in your bones. In Muir Woods, the stillness is almost holy. The air is thick with green breath, not just oxygen, but something older, something sacred. A hush hangs among the redwoods like a suspended note, long and low. Every step on the wooden path is a whisper. You are not walking, you are entering. The trees here rise like sentinels, not watching, not judging, just existing, bearing witness. John Muir called them cathedrals. And he was right, but even that feels too small, because these aren't buildings. They're beings, and they're listening, tucked within Marin County's hills. This grove was spared when much of the surrounding land was logged for cities that would come later. A U.S. Congressman, William Kent, bought the land to protect it. In 1908, he gave it to the nation in memory of Muir, the man who walked through wilderness as if in prayer. But long before that, the Coast Miwok lived here. They walked the same narrow valleys, named the same creeks, watched the same fog settle like a shawl over the forest. Their stories still linger in the curve of the hills, in the hush of twilight. Travel here with patience. Arrive early, before the crowds and their noise. Let the trees meet you in quiet. Moss hangs in delicate threads. Ferns nod beside the creek. Banana slugs inch along the damp bark like tiny pilgrims. Everything here moves slowly, deliberately, a reminder that not all journeys are meant to be rushed. Don't shout, don't race through. The forest does not hurry, and neither should you. Listen, the wind speaks in old tongues. Breathe, the air is medicine. And when you leave nothing behind. Not your trash, not your name, not even your footsteps if you can help it. Just gratitude that you stood here and were humbled. San Francisco rises from a fog like something half-dreamed. It's a city built on contradiction, steep hills and sudden views, wild skies and restrained beauty, echoing footsteps and cable car clangs. You arrive not just by crossing a bridge, but by surrendering to its rhythm. The streets shimmer after rain. Victorian houses, painted like confections, sit beside modern glass towers. A breeze always finds you, off the bay, off the past. The scent of sourdough mingles with eucalyptus, sea salt, and the faint smoke of incense from Chinatown alleyways. The Ohlone people first called this peninsula home, living in balance with bay and land. Then came the Spanish. Then gold. Then everyone. Boom after boom. Earthquakes cracked it wide open. Fire reshaped it. And yet, here it stands, elegant, wounded, alive. On the corner of Haight and Ashbury, flowers once crowned revolution. In the Mission, murals bloom on old walls, telling stories in color that history books forget. Walk through North Beach and hear echoes of Ginsberg, Ferlinghetti, poets who stirred the city's soul awake. And in the Castro, rainbow flags fly not for fashion, but for remembrance. This is a city of survivors, of artists who refused to leave, of families who stayed for generations in rent-controlled apartments with views of laundry lines and heaven. And it is a city of fog. Carl, the locals call him, the fog with a name, with a mood. He rolls and fast across the bay, swallowing the skyline, then vanishes like a secret at dawn. Travel here with layers, with questions, with kindness. San Francisco moves fast, but feels slow. Let it surprise you. Take the bus. Take your time. Order dim sum with cash. Wait for the wind to lift the veil. You'll leave changed, not loudly, but deeply, like something small inside you shifted and settled. It is not just a bridge. It is a threshold, a red arc suspended between city and sea, sky and self. The Golden Gate Bridge doesn't just carry cars. It carries longing. Stand at its edge and you feel it. The wind that rises from the Pacific. The cry of gulls circling beneath. The cold bite of salt on your skin. This is more than engineering. It is architecture as a motion, steel giving grace. Completed in 1937, it was a marvel of its time and remains one. Joseph Strauss, the chief engineer, once wrote, "The bridge is not just steel and rivets, but a prayer of progress." But before it was progress, it was peril. The strait beneath the Golden Gate was feared by sailors for its fog, its tides, its mood. Many ships never made it through. When the bridge was built, workers toiled above that restless water with only a net below, the first safety net of its kind. It saved 19 men. They called themselves the Halfway to Hell Club. Fog is frequent here. One moment the towers stand clear, radiant in light. The next, they vanish completely, as if memory itself had swallowed them. That's part of the magic. The bridge is always there, yet somehow never the same. It has become a place of passage in many forms. Tourists photograph it. Locals cross it in silence. Some come here with heavy hearts. It's true, and to walk its length is to feel both wonder and weight. But even that is part of its truth. This structure holds all of us, not just our joy, but our burden. If you visit, walk the span. Feel the hum beneath your feet. Look out at the ocean. Then back at the city, that impossible city rising from hills and fog. Dress warm. The wind can cut, but the view will stay with you. Not just the span, not just the steel, but the way you felt small, strong, suspended, in a moment where the earth seemed to breathe in, and you did too. The island waits, low in the bay, shrouded in gull cries and salt mist. Alcatraz, the rock, is a place where silence lingers longer. Once just a jagged outcrop in the tide, it was named Isla de los Alcatraces by Spanish explorers, Island of the Pelicans. But it became something else, A prison, a warning, a myth. The cell blocks still stand, their walls stained with time. Inside, footsteps echo with too much memory. Paint peels from cold metal. Light falls through narrow slits, casting shadows like ghosts across the concrete floor. Famous men were caged here, Capone, Stroud, others, but most were not legends. They were lost, some innocent, many broken long before they arrived. Alcatraz did not break men. It simply reminded them of their fractures. Yet the most powerful story came not from those behind bars, but from those who came after. In 1969, a group of Native American activists, calling themselves Indians of all tribes, occupied the island. They claimed it not with guns, but with presence. For 19 months, they stayed, calling attention to broken treaties, to stolen land, to forgotten people. Their red-painted slogan still faintly marked the walls. "This is Indian land," they wrote. It still is. The occupation ended, but it lit a fire, a movement, a new way of remembering. Alcatraz became more than a prison. It became a place of return. Today, tourists visit on time ferries. They wear headphones and listen to the voices of former guards, former inmates. But if you come, try removing the headset. Let the wind speak instead. Let the gulls cry where the sirens once rang. Stand in the yard where the cold wind knifes through your coat. And remember, isolation is never just physical. It lives in systems, in stories erased. But this island, surrounded by water and memory, continues to hold its shape. Even in ruin, it resists forgetting. Just across the bridge, the world softens. Sausalito drapes itself along the bay like a quiet song, all sailboats in soft light, pastel houses climbing green hills, reflections trembling in still water. The city behind you fades. Here, life slows. The morning fog retreats slowly, revealing cafes that spill onto sidewalks, bougainvillea that spills over balconies. Artists have long made homes here, drawn not just by beauty, but by the space between moments. Even the wind seems to pause in Sausalito. But beneath the postcard calm, there's a tide of stories. During World War II, this sleepy town became an unlikely shipyard. In a matter of days, whole Liberty ships were built here. Steel giants launched into war from quiet coves. The sound of welding and riveting echoed through these hills once, a far cry from the soft jazz you hear now drifting from an open window. After the war, houseboats began to gather, first as a necessity, then as an idea. Writers, rebels, dreamers anchored in the bay, floating just outside convention. Some still remain, their docks adorned with wind chimes and bright paint, gardens blooming on decks. Travel here gently. Stroll the waterfront with a coffee in hand. Watch for seals in the harbor. Eat slowly. The seafood is fresh, and the view deserves your attention. Step into a gallery, not just to see, but to feel. The art here carries the air of the sea and the ache of time. And when the sun sets behind the Marin Hills, casting the water gold, don't speak. Just watch. Just listen. Sausalito doesn't ask for much, only that you arrive open and leave quieter than you came. Oakland is a city of layers. a place where history and hustle meet in the flicker of streetlights and the pulse of jazz. The air here smells of salt and grease paint, and beneath the urban hum is a sound of resilience. Old shipyards along the waterfront whisper of past industry. Now those spaces breathe creativity. Murals splash color onto brick walls, telling stories of struggle, hope, and radical love. This city has been a cradle for change. In the 1960s, Oakland was the birthplace of the Black Panther Party, a movement that rose from the margins with fierce pride and a vision for justice. Their legacy still echoes in community centers, murals, and the spirited pulse of activism that courses through neighborhoods today. Walk through the historic Jack London Square, where the fog meets the bay. You'll hear the clatter of ferries and the chatter of markets. Nearby, the Grand Lake Theater stands as a reminder of old glamour, its neon marquee glowing like a beacon. Food here is a celebration. From soul food to Vietnamese pho, each dish a chapter in the city's story. Talk to locals. They'll tell you about the summer festivals, the music scenes, the neighborhood gardens where strangers become family. Oakland asks you to look beyond surface, to listen to the beat beneath the street, to respect the roots even as you dance. If you're visiting, take public transit. It's part of the city's fabric. Be mindful of the shifting neighborhoods. Gentrification is a story still being written. And always carry kindness, because Oakland, in all its fierce beauty, holds space for complexity, for history, for hope, for you. The light in Napa drips like honey, slow, golden, warm, brushing vineyards that ripple across the hills in careful rows. There's a rhythm here, ancient yet still pulsing, sun-soiled vine glass, and between each breath, silence. Napa Valley is a land of ritual, the turning of barrels, the pruning of vines, the patient wait for fruit to deepen, sweeten, soften. Long before the first winery, this valley belonged to the Patwin people, stewards of the land, the water, the deer. The soil remembers. It always does. Today, wine brings the world here, tastings under olive trees, dinners by candlelight, but behind the polished glass is labor, hands stained by grapes, backs bent in heat, voices that sing in Spanish between the rows. If you come not just to taste, but to feel. Start early, before the buses. Let the fog lift around you. Smell the earth, the oak, the sweet bite of fermentation in the air. Speak softly in the tasting rooms. Drink slowly. Don't ask only what it costs. Ask who made it. Drive gently along Silverado Trail and pause often. Beauty grows here not just from vines, but from waiting. Let it slow you. That's what Napa offers, not escape, but stillness. A place where time ferments into something golden, and memory leaves a trace on the tongue. Sacramento sits where two rivers meet, a city born of water, mud, and movement. It was once a city of gold, or at least the gateway to it. In the fevered days of 1849, miners came through here with shovels and fire in their eyes. But the real gold it turns out, was the river itself. The land, the people who built something lasting. Beneath the stately Capitol dome, laws are made, but in the neighborhoods, Oak Park, Midtown, Del Paso Heights, life unfolds in murals and farmers markets, in the rhythm of old jazz records and kids on bikes. There's history here, if you're listening. In the 1860s, Sacramento was the western end of the Pony Express and the starting point of the first transcontinental railroad, a marvel built on Chinese labor, too often forgotten. There's an old Chinatown underground buried by floods and time, but its story still pulses beneath the streets. Visit Old Sacramento and hear the wooden boardwalks creak under your feet. Paddle steamers sway on the river. Shops sell saltwater taffy and memories. Yet just blocks away, the city hums with new energy. Coffee roasters, indie bookstores, voices rising. This isn't a flashy city, but it's rooted, honest, the kind of place where trees line the streets like witnesses, and the breeze carries both pollen and politics. If you're traveling through, don't rush. Ride a bike along the river. Let the sun catch the water, just so. Stop by a taco truck near Broadway and talk to someone who's lived here their whole life. Sacramento may not ask for attention, but give it yours, and it will offer something real. Lake Tahoe is a mirror, a wide, deep breath of blue nestled between mountain spines, reflecting sky and snow, storm and stillness. To arrive here is to remember that clarity still exists in the world. The Washoe people call this place the Awajay, edge of the lake. For centuries, they fished its waters, held ceremonies on its shores, lived in rhythm with the changing light. Their presence endures, even as the lake's edges now hold cabins and ski resorts. Tahoe is split by a state line, but the water knows no such boundary. It remains whole, shimmering, ancient, fed by snowmelt, so pure you can see the depths most lakes only dream of. In summer, the lake is sapphire, warm sun above, cold depth below. Paddle boards skim the surface. Children chase minnows in coves. Hikers pause on granite outcrops and just breathe. In winter, silence falls heavy. Pines hold snow like secrets. The wind moves differently then, sharper, more intimate. The same trails become hushed corridors of frost and echo, and always the water remains. In 1873, writer Mark Twain wrote of Tahoe, "The air up there in the clouds is very pure and fine, and why shouldn't it be? It is the same the angels breathe." He wasn't wrong, but this isn't a place for angels. It's a place for presence. If you come, take your time. Circle the lake slowly. Each bend reveals a new hue, a new rhythm. Avoid weekends if you seek quiet. And if you swim, brace yourself. Even in July, the cold bites. That's part of the beauty. Tahoe doesn't coddle. It invites. And if you let it, it will show you who you are when the noise is gone. Yosemite is not just a place. It is an opening in the earth and in the self. Granite rises here like frozen thunder, sheer and gleaming. Waterfalls hurl themselves into silence. Meadows stretch like slow sighs beneath a sky too wide to hold. Every step you take feels ancestral, like you're walking into a memory that was never only yours. Long before the tourists, before the park maps and ranger stations, The Ahwahneechee lived in this valley. They called Ahwahnee, place of the gaping mouth. Their stories on the stone, the mist, the breeze through the black oak leaves. When the U.S. Army protected this land in 1851, they removed its people, but the soul of Yosemite has never forgotten them. Stand in the valley at dawn. Watch El Capitan turn gold in the first light. Let your voice fall away. There is nothing you can say that the mountains haven't already heard, and nothing you need to. Visit in spring to hear the waterfalls roar. In autumn, the Merced River moves gently, mirroring trees dressed in flame. In winter, the valley hushes, snow on granite, deer in shadow, breath on the air. This isn't nature as spectacle. It's nature as truth, and it doesn't need you, but it welcomes you if you come with reverence. Don't feed the animals. Stay on the path. Pick up after yourself. And when you leave, take nothing but stillness, because Yosemite is not a box to check. It is a cathedral of stone and water, and to walk here is to remember what sacred means. El Capitan doesn't rise. It looms, a sheer wall of granite, pale, immense, immovable, carved by ice and time and silence. Standing at its base, you feel it before you see it, a pressure in the chest, a pull in the bones. This is not a mountain. It's a monolith, 3,000 feet of vertical stone, rising straight from Yosemite Valley. Light crawls across its face as the day passes. Cold gray at dawn, golden at dusk, and silver when the moon finds it. Climbers come here, drawn like moths to myth. They train for years to scale it. Some sleep on the rock face, tethered to the wall like stars pause in midfall. In 2017, Alex Honnold made history, climbing it alone without ropes. Free solo, one mistake from death, one breath from legend. But El Capitan doesn't care for records. It simply endures. Wind scrapes its face. Storms come and go. Lichen creeps quietly across its surface. Ravens circle its summit, riding thermals like old spirits. If you come, stand still. Place your hand on the stone. Don't try to conquer it. Just witness. Let it remind you that some things are beyond scale, beyond speed, beyond explanation. And that's the gift. El Capitan isn't there to be understood, only to be seen and remembered. Here, the trees are giants, not in metaphor, in truth. Sequoia and Kings Canyon cradle some of the largest living beings on Earth. The General Sherman tree alone weighs more than a dozen blue whales, yet grows quietly, rooted in patience. You walk among them like a child in a hall of elders. The forest hushes your thoughts. Ferns crowd the paths. Pine needles soften your footsteps. And somewhere high above, light filters through the canopy in amber beams, slow and holy. These trees have witnessed fire and snowfall, generations of wind, the passing of empires. Some are over 2,000 years old, older than most written words. You don't just visit them, you enter their time. Kings Canyon, carved deep by ice, is less known and more sacred for it. Granite walls, glacier lakes, stillness. John Muir called it a rival to Yosemite, though it asks for less applause and offers more quiet. Before national parks, this was Yokut's land, and still is. Their stories say the great spirits walked here and shaped the earth with song and ash. In these groves, that story feels possible. If you come in winter, chains may be needed on the road, but the snow makes the silence complete. In summer, the scent of warm bark fills the air, and deer move like ghosts through the underbrush. Speak low, touch gently. These trees do not shout, but they hold the memory of stars. And if you're quiet enough, you may feel them listening. Death Valley hums with heat, not just temperature, but presence, a shimmer in the air, a stillness so complete it feels alive. This is not emptiness, it's vastness, and it demands your respect. The lowest point in North America, 282 feet below sea level, is here at Badwater Basin, where salt flats stretch into horizon like frost from another world. The silence is enormous, the sun relentless, and yet life exists. Desert holly clings to dry earth. Pupfish dart in warm springs. Coyotes trot across the sand at dusk, vanishing into golden shadow. What looks dead is only dormant. What looks still is always becoming. This land has been called harsh, unforgiving. But that is a story told from the outside. The Timbisha Shoshone have lived here for centuries. They know the land not as punishment, but as home. Their village, still present in Furnace Creek, reminds travelers that survival here is not conquest. It's relationship. The heat in summer can kill. Come prepared. Water is not optional. Distances lie. What looks close may be miles away. And still, you want to wander. To see Zabriskie Point at dawn, where badlands blush pink and gold. To walk the Mesquite Flat dunes at sunset, where your shadow stretches like myth. To feel the way silence echoes. There is beauty here unlike anywhere else, because nothing is hidden. The land is bare, open, true, and that honesty, it humbles you. You do not come to Death Valley to take. You come to be undone and remade. The sea feels older here. At Monterey Bay, the waves arrive with stories. Salt-worn, slow, unhurried. Kelp forests sway just beneath the surface, cathedral-like, their fronds rising like prayers to the cold Pacific. The coastline bends gently, cradling harbors, cliffs, tide pools, and wind. You don't just watch the ocean here. You listen to it breathe. This was once Rumson Ohlone land, a place of abalone and acorn, of ceremony and song. Later came Spanish missionaries, sardine canneries, poets. Each wave brought someone else. Each wave took something, too. In the early 1900s, Monterey's cannery row pulsed with industry. Fish hauled in by the ton, processed beneath harsh lights and harder hours. John Steinbeck wrote into legend, a place of grit and soul, where laughter survived even in hunger. The canneries are mostly gone now, turned into boutiques and museums, but the ocean remembers, and the whales return. Blue, gray, humpback, giants that pass just offshore, breaching in slow arcs that shatter the horizon. Otters bob in the kelp, rolling and grooming like floating children. Sea lions bark from rocky outcrops. Above, pelicans glide in formations that trace invisible music. The Monterey Bay Aquarium stands as a quiet marvel, not spectacle, but sanctuary. Its deep tanks and wide windows connect you to another world. But step outside, and you'll find that world waiting in the reel, just beyond the shoreline, vast and singing. If you visit, walk along the shore early. Let the fog kiss your face. Watch the tide pull long strands of kelp back into the deep. Respect the marine life. Keep distance. Pick up what others left behind. And eat slowly. The clam chowder tastes better with a breeze and a view. Here, the ocean is teacher, mirror, mother. She asks only that you listen and leave gently. It is not just a road. Highway 1 is a ribbon of wonder, a Tulane whisper that clings to cliffs, weaves through redwood shadows, and dances with the sea. You don't drive this road. You follow it. From Monterey to Big Sur and beyond, the Pacific crashes beside you, relentless and blue. Cypress trees lean seaward, bent by wind and time. Every curve reveals another secret. A hidden beach, a pull-out where fog pours over the hills, a hawk hanging motionless in the updraft. Here, the road is poetry in motion. It's also precarious. Landslides are common and self-service is rare. But that's part of the gift. You must pay attention to the road, to the moment, to the hush that falls inside you when the landscape takes over. Bixby Creek Bridge arches like a stone hymn, connecting more than coastlines, connecting you to the sublime. Many come to photograph it. Fewer stop to feel it. The wind at your back, the sea beneath your feet, the smallness that comes with awe. This stretch of highway was built during the Great Depression. Dynamite and grit carved it from impossible cliffs. It was not easy. That's why it's sacred. The difficulty lives inside the beauty. If you drive it, go slow. Let faster cars pass. Pull over often. Don't rush the sacred. And if the fog rolls and thickens sudden, as it often does, trust the road. Trust the curves. Even when you cannot see what's next. This highway doesn't just lead somewhere. It becomes you. The cliffs, the waves, the quiet between songs on the radio, they linger long after you've left. Big Sur isn't a town. It's a threshold, a wild stretch where mountains fall into ocean, where fog curls around redwoods like a secret, where time forgets how to move. The land breathes differently here. You feel it in the silence between waves, in the scent of salt and sage, in the way the sun filters through eucalyptus, catching dust in golden suspension. There are no cities. No neon signs, just coastline and cliffs, wind-worn and defiant. The Santa Lucia Mountains rise deep behind you. The Pacific opens endless ahead. Writers came here to disappear. Kerouac, Miller, Jeffers. Artists too, not to be seen but to see. To hear what silence sounds like when it has room. This land was once Esalen territory. A people who live with the rhythms of tide and fire. For them, Big Sur was not remote. It was home. That knowing still hums beneath the trails. McWay Falls spills onto the beach below without apology. You can't walk down to it. You must witness it from above. That's the lesson here. Reverence over reach. If you come, stay off your phone. Let the landscape be your language. Camp beneath the trees if you can. At night, the stars arrive in impossible numbers. Bold, bare, ancient. Coyotes call from the brush. The wind tells stories you forgot you knew. The road is narrow, the cliffs unforgiving. But the journey is worth it. Pack water. Respect fire bans. Leave no mark but wonder. Because Big Sur doesn't offer escape. It offers encounter. With beauty. With silence. With something inside you that remembers how to be still. Malibu is the sun's gentle embrace, a coastline where waves kiss golden sands and palm trees sway, like whispers in the breeze. This is not just a beach town. It's a feeling. The ocean here carries stories of surfers chasing endless waves, of artists who came to paint light itself, of dreamers drawn by the promise of endless horizons. Malibu's history runs deeper than the glitter. Long before mansions crown the hills, the Chumash people lived in harmony with sea and land. Their shell beads and rock art speak quietly beneath modernity, reminders of a time when this place was sacred. The Pacific here is both fierce and tender. Surfers know the rhythm. The swell builds, breaks, and retreats in an eternal dance. Early mornings are painted in soft pastels. The sunsets blaze with fire. Tide pools harbor tiny worlds, where sea stars cling and anemones pulse with life. Drive the Pacific Coast highways slowly. Stop at Zuma Beach to feel the wind open your chest. Wander through Malibu Lagoon, where water birds glide over reeds and silence hums. Respect the land. Malibu's beauty is fragile. Watch for dolphins playing offshore. Listen for the cries of pelicans overhead. The air tastes of salt and cedar. There's a quiet generosity here, a gift to those who come not to own, but to witness. Even as the city grows, Malibu holds on to its wild heart. And when you leave, carry with you the gentle pull of the tide, the way the ocean never forgets. Pismo Beach is a quiet rhythm, the steady pulse of surf meeting sand, of gulls dipping low over the Pacific, of waves folding in slow, endless embrace. This place breathes with history. Long before tourists strolled the pier, the Chumash people fished these shores. Their voices carried on ocean winds. Their connection to sea and earth is woven into the dunes and tides. The town grew with the promise of salt, once the lifeblood of Pismo, harvested from nearby marshes and wooden vats under the sun's relentless watch. Salt flats shimmered, ghostly white against the golden hills. Today, the pier stretches out like a hand into the ocean, warm but welcoming. Fishermen haul in rockfish and halibut. Pelicans dive with grace. Children gather shells, footprints marking the soft sand like fleeting memories. In spring, monarch butterflies cluster in eucalyptus groves, a fluttering cloud of delicate wings. It's a reminder that this land is not still. It moves, migrates, transforms. Travel here slowly. Walk the beach at dawn. Feel the cold spray on your face. Try clam chowder in a small cafe, made from recipes passed down generations. Respect the tides and currents. They are older than any story you carry. If you're lucky, stay for a sunset that sets the sky aflame, a quiet blaze reflected in water and soul. Pismo is not loud. It doesn't need to be. It whispers its truths gently. And if you listen, you will carry its calm with you long after you leave. Santa Barbara holds a light unlike any other. It spills from red tile roofs and white stucco walls, from bougainvillea that climbs like fire along ancient adobe. The mountains stand watch in soft purple haze, guarding a city where ocean and earth meet in whispered promises. This place was once the land of the Chumash people, their villages scattered along the coast, their songs carried on the breeze. Spanish missionaries arrived in the 18th century, leaving missions with bell towers that still told their history. Complicated, layered, and enduring, Santa Barbara is a city of gardens and plazas, of wine and sea salt, of slow afternoons and lingering light. Walk the pier and watch boats bob gently. Visit the old courthouse, a palace of tiles and arches that feels more like a poem than a building. The harbor welcomes boats and travelers alike, its water shimmering under the soft sun. The wine country nearby yields vineyards that stretch toward the horizon, spilling grapes into barrels and bottles that carry the warmth of this land. If you visit, carry patience. The city moves to a slower rhythm here. Cafe conversations drift, music spills from open doors, and the scent of jasmine and ocean salt mingles in the air. Respect the waves if you swim. And if you hike the trails, watch for lizards darting among chaparral. Santa Barbara asks only for quiet attentiveness, for moments held lightly, for a heart willing to listen. And when you leave, carry its light with you, a warmth that lingers long after the sun dips below the hills. Catalina Island rises like a jewel from the blue, a place where ocean and sky blur the horizon, and time seems to slow beneath sun-dappled palms. The island story is layered, from the Tongva people who called it Pimu and lived here in harmony with land and sea, to Spanish explorers who named it after St. Catherine, to decades of Hollywood glamour that cast the island as a playground for dreamers and adventurers alike. But beneath the glitz lies a quieter truth. Catalina is a sanctuary. Its rugged hills, covered in chaparral and wildflowers, shelter bison herds introduced long ago, now thriving in unexpected freedom. The clear waters cradle kelp forests, where Garibaldi fish flash like golden coins, and sea lions laze on sun-warmed rocks. Walk the town of Avalon with its colorful buildings and narrow streets. The air smells of salt and citrus, and the distant sound of waves blends with laughter and soft music from open doors. Snorkelers glide over underwater gardens. Kayaks slice the surface in silence. Hikers trace trails where eagles soar above, and wildflowers bloom in hidden coves. The island holds secrets, like a mysterious Wrigley Memorial, honoring the man who helped preserve the sanctuary, and the ruins of the old casino, whispering tales of a more decadent past. Travel here with curiosity and respect. Bring layers. Mornings can be cool, afternoons warm. Speak softly in natural areas. The island's fragile ecosystems depend on care. Take time to watch the sunset. Paint the sky in hues no city can mimic. Catalina invites you not just to visit, but to belong, if only for a moment. To remember that even isolated places carry the heartbeat of connection. And when you leave, carry the salt air and gentle light within you. Because some places don't fade when you go. They become part of your story. Los Angeles hums with contradiction. It is both vast and intimate, sprawling and contained, dazzling and worn. A city built on dreams and dust, on palm-lined streets and endless highways. Here, the sky stretches wide, often bright and cloudless, sometimes bruised with smoke or fog. The city carries 1,000 stories, whispered in Hollywood backlots, shouted in downtown markets, sung on Venice Beach boardwalks. Each neighborhood holds its own rhythm, its own pulse. From the glimmer of Rodeo Drive to the murals of Leimert Park, from the towering skyscrapers to the quiet canyons, LA is a mosaic of cultures, histories, and hopes. It is a place of reinvention, where people come to become who they imagine themselves to be, or to disappear altogether. Yet beneath the glitz is grit. The city struggles with inequality, with stories that are too often overlooked. But there is also resilience in its artists, activists, and dreamers who refuse to be silenced. Walk the streets with eyes wide open. Respect the neighborhoods. Explore beyond the tourist hubs. Try street tacos from a stand tucked between murals. Catch a sunset from Griffith Park. And remember, in this city, everyone carries a story waiting to be heard. Los Angeles invites you to write yours too. Santa Monica unfolds like a promise. Ocean breeze weaving through palm fronds, the rhythmic pulse of waves meeting shore, and the laughter of a pier alive with lights and music. This is a place where land and sea dance together, where locals and travelers mingle under sun-softened skies. The sand is wide and welcoming, perfect for barefoot walks as the sun dips low. The Santa Monica Pier is more than amusement rides and salty air. It's a gathering place, a heartbeat, a place where families, lovers, and wanderers meet in fleeting moments. The Ferris wheel lights up the night like a beacon, calling all to pause, to remember joy. Beyond the beach, 3rd Street Promenade hums with life. Street performers, artists, cafes spilling warmth onto sidewalks. The scent of coffee and ocean salt blend in the air. Santa Monica's history runs deep. The Tongva people once called this land home, living off the bay's bounty long before the city rose. Their presence is woven quietly into the earth, in small markers and stories whispered in the wind. If you visit, take your time. Bike along the beachfront path. Watch surfers carve the waves. Step into galleries and theaters. Taste fresh seafood from a farmer's market. And as evening falls, find a quiet spot to watch the sun melt in the Pacific, painting the sky with colors no brush can capture. Santa Monica is a place of light, not just the sun, but the kind that lingers in memories. And if you listen closely, you'll hear the ocean's soft invitation. Come again. Griffith Observatory sits perched above Los Angeles, a sentinel between Earth and cosmos. From this vantage, the sprawling city below seems both vast and intimate, a glittering mosaic framed by rugged hills and endless sky. The building itself feels timeless, Art Deco curves catching the fading light, windows reflecting sunsets that bleed into starlit nights. Inside, ancient machines whisper stories of distant worlds, planets spinning silently in orbits beyond reach. Telescopes beckon curious eyes to peer into the vast unknown, bridging human wonder and cosmic mystery. This is a place where science and poetry entwine. For centuries, the stars have drawn us upward, inspiring myth, art, and discovery. The observatory honors that journey, reminding us that beneath the city's hum, there is a universe vast and waiting. On clear nights, visitors gather on the terraces, their breath visible in cool air, eyes lifted toward constellations that have watched over the land long before cities. Before Griffith's gift in 1935, the hills were quiet, sacred to the Tongva people who called this region home. Their stories speak of sky beings and earth spirits, of balance and connection that still pulse beneath these very stars. If you visit, come prepared to linger. Bring a sweater for the chill that falls with darkness. Speak softly. Look up, let the city's noise fall away, and feel the hum of something infinite. Griffith Observatory doesn't just reveal the stars. It invites you to find your place among them, to remember that even beneath the vastest sky, you are part of the story. Venice Beach pulses electric life, a vibrant tapestry woven from sun, sand, and stories. The boardwalk hums with musicians, artists, and wanderers whose steps echo like a heartbeat against the Pacific's endless roar. Color explodes here. Murals, tattoos, and costumes all blurring into a carnival of self-expression. This is a place of freedom, a stage where every soul is invited to perform their truth. Long before it became a playground of eclectic energy, Venice was founded as a seaside resort, a vision of canals and gondolas, inspired by its Italian namesake. Though the waterways have mostly vanished, the spirit remains, a liquid flow of creativity and defiance. Skaters carve the concrete bowls. Muscle Beach echoes with the clang of iron and sweat. Street vendors offer everything from fresh fruit to handmade jewelry. Yet beneath the noise is a fragile beauty. The tide pools hold miniature worlds, and the ocean breeze carries salt and possibility. This beach has known transformation and turmoil, waves of gentrification, of community resistance, of artists fighting to hold their ground. If you come, watch the sunset paint the sky in wild streaks. Join a drum circle. Talk to the locals. Their stories are as rich as the ocean's depths. Respect the land and people here. Carry only memories and kindness. Venice Beach asks for nothing less than your open heart, and in return, offers a chance to see yourself reflected in the wild, beautiful chaos of life. Palm Springs shimmers in the desert sun like a mirage made real, a place where mid-century dreams meet rugged mountains and endless blue skies. The air here is dry, perfumed faintly with creosote and sage, carrying a stillness that feels almost sacred. This oasis has long drawn those seeking light and escape. From the Cahuilla people who first tended this land, to Hollywood stars chasing refuge, to modern travelers chasing quiet, Palm Springs is a mosaic of contrasts. Cool pools shimmering beneath palm fronds, stark desert peaks standing sentinel beyond manicured lawns, winding roads that curve into canyons where silence reigns. The city pulses with design and art, its architecture a sunlit symphony of glass and steel and clean lines. If you visit, rise early to watch the sun paint the mountains gold. Wander through Morton Botanical Garden, where desert plants tell stories of survival and beauty. Respect the fragile desert ecosystem. Water is precious here. Summer brings heat that demands caution. Spring and fall offer the gentlest embrace. And when night falls, the sky opens wide, stars more countless than city lights, stretching into forever. Palm Springs is a place to breathe deeply, to remember that even in the harshest places, life finds a way to bloom, and that sometimes stillness is the greatest luxury of all. Balboa Park is a symphony of green and stone, where gardens and museums intertwine beneath towering palms and spreading oaks. It is a place where time softens, where the past and present meet in dappled sunlight. The park breathes history. Its Spanish colonial revival architecture speaks of a 1915 World's Fair, a celebration of culture and innovation. Walk its winding paths and you'll find fountains whispering stories, sculptures that hold still moments, and plazas alive with music and laughter. For centuries, the Kumeyaay people cared for this land. Their connection to the earth is woven beneath every leaf and stone, an unseen thread linking past and future. Balboa Park is more than a park. It is a gathering place for dreams. From the San Diego Museum of Art to the Botanical Building, from the Old Globe Theater to hidden alcoves perfect for quiet reflection, the park holds space for every kind of wanderer. In spring, jacarandas bloom in bursts of purple, petals carping the ground like a dream. Summer brings vibrant festivals and open-air concerts. Fall's golden light filters through palms, and winter's mild touch invites peaceful strolls. If you visit, bring a picnic. Wander slowly. Let the scents of citrus and eucalyptus fill your senses. Respect the gardens and the people who tend them. Balboa Park is a place of welcome, a place where every footstep becomes part of a larger story. And as you leave, carry its calm with you, a reminder that beauty grows where it is nurtured. San Diego unfolds like a coastal dream, soft breezes weaving through palm-lined streets, the scent of salt and blooming jasmine mingling with the hum of the city. It is a place where ocean meets urban rhythm with gentle grace. From the sun-warmed shores of La Jolla to the vibrant heart of the Gaslamp Quarter, long before modern streets and cafes, the Kumeyaay people lived here. Their deep knowledge of land and sea shaping this place for thousands of years. Their stories ripple beneath the waves and the city's pulse. San Diego's harbor hosts boats both small and grand, the water shimmering with sunlight. Seagulls will overhead, their cries carried on the breeze. The sound of laughter and conversation drifts from open-air markets and sidewalk patios. This city is alive with contrasts. Historic missions standing near sleek museums, quiet beaches just minutes from bustling neighborhoods. Visit Balboa Park to wander gardens and museums where art and nature blend seamlessly. Stroll the Embarcadero and watch the sunset turn the water molten gold. Respect the ocean's power. Swim only in designated areas. Watch for currents. If you listen closely, you might catch the whispers of history in the adobe walls, or the quiet strength of a community proud of its heritage. San Diego invites you to slow down, to breathe deeply, and to find beauty in every corner. And when you leave, carry with you the soft light of the Pacific, a gentle reminder that every journey ends with the sea. Point Reyes is a breath held between land and sea, where cliffs rise in rugged defiance and the ocean crashes in wild, endless rhythms. The air here carries salt and pine, fog and cedar, a mix of mystery and sharp clarity. Long before modern visitors, the Coast Miwok people lived in harmony with these lands and waters, their stories etched into the rocks and whispered by the wind. Point Reyes is a sanctuary for wildlife. Tule elk roam freely across grassy hills, harbor seals rest on rocky shores, and migrating whales pass offshore in majestic procession. The lighthouse, perched at the edge of the continent, stands as a sentinel through storms and silence. Its beam cuts through fog, guiding ships and souls alike. If you visit, walk slowly. Feel the cold breeze on your face. Watch for wildflowers nodding the wind, and listen for the distant call of sea birds. Respect the fragile ecosystems here. Stay on trails. Take only memories. In spring, the hills bloom bright with lupin and poppies. In winter, storms reshape the coastline with fierce beauty. Point Reyes does not rush. It invites you to pause, to witness, to become part of a landscape older than time itself. And when you leave, carry its wildness within you, a reminder that the earth's edge is also a beginning. The journey through California comes to its quiet close. From towering redwoods to sunlit shores, from desert stillness to city pulse, this land unfolds like a story told in breath and shadow, light and silence. We have walked through ancient forests where giants stand watch, stood on cliffs where the ocean speaks in endless rhythms, and breathed the dry air of deserts that bloom against all odds. We've touched histories hidden beneath stone and sea, stories whispered by indigenous voices, carried by waves, and held in the dust of forgotten roads. California is many things, a dream, a challenge, a wild and tender home. But above all, it is a mirror, a reflection of the vastness inside each of us, the mystery, the beauty, the resilience. As you carry this place with you, remember that the journey doesn't end here. It lives in the quiet moments, the way light filters through leaves, the softness of a wave's caress, the stillness between heartbeats. You are the traveler now, and the road stretches endlessly onward, waiting for your footsteps. Go gently, go with wonder, and know that wherever you wander, the spirit of this land walks with you.